Hi everyone. Thanks for joining me tonight. I'm happy to be here. This is Dr. Kelly of Discovery Health, and if you haven't already, please make sure that you check out my website, drkellyfelmer.com. And I write a blog with lots of good information. What we're talking about tonight is hair loss, and I'm going to have an article that's going to go along with what we're talking about tonight. So if you didn't catch this live, you'll be able to catch it on discoveryhealthlifestyle.com as well. So I really appreciate you guys being here, and please share the videos. This is a really touchy subject, and a lot of women don't like to talk about it, even the men. I mean, this is a talk about for both men and women, right? Because we're talking about hair loss. And what we're going to go through are what are the possible reasons that you're losing your hair, right? Why is it falling out? Did it stop growing? Why did it go to sleep? It won't grow anymore and it's not doing anything but falling out. There are many reasons that this can be happening. And that's the good news for all of you who put a mad face, on there. I know you're not happy about it. I know it's super frustrating. I know you want to cover it up, and, you want to keep that full set of hair, and because it's part of your identity, right? So not only are we getting older, and our bodies change, and our hormones change, and things change, and that's okay, because we want things to change most of the time, but we sure don't want to lose all of our hair before we're supposed to. So the things that we're going to talk about tonight are going to cover all of the possible reasons that your hair is falling out. So what you need to do if you're concerned about your hair, if you lose more than you think you should, because people, we all lose some hair. Hair has chronically been a problem for clogging the drain in the shower. We normally lose some. Your hair is either in a growing phase, and when I say your hair, I don't mean all of it together. I mean each strand of hair goes through a different phase. It's either growing, or it's resting, or, hey Becky, it's shedding. It's falling out. Okay, so it has to be in one of those three stages. And what we'll find out on some of the things we're going to talk about, the hair follicles, the hair growth can get stuck, hi Bev, in one of those phases. Well, if it's growing, it's getting longer, it's getting more beautiful, hopefully lots of good nutrition. But even when it's in a resting phase, it's like, gosh, why won't my hair grow? Why won't it grow? And then, again, it sheds normally. So there's some statistics out there, and, up to 100 pieces of hair a day. But when you don't have very much, 100 pieces is a lot. And I know that you don't want to lose any. So let's go through it. Hi, Carrie. Let's go through each of the reasons. And so you can mark off on the list, and I'll have this written up for you. It's going to go on a Discovery Health Lifestyle tomorrow, and I'll put some pictures out there too of some things to be looking for. But it's going to give you a checkoff list to say, yep, I've had that checked and it's okay. Yep, that's okay. Yep, that's okay. That's not it. That's not it. You're going to find something on this list that you either need to improve, or that is exactly the problem, that you don't have Goldilocks anymore. All right. So let me know that you're here. Remember to give me some thumbs up. You can share the video right away. I really do appreciate that. So we've talked about this first one a lot, and that's thyroid. We talk about thyroid all the time. A lot of you who follow me have a thyroid problem, or we've worked together to resolve your thyroid problem or get it functioning better. Okay? So hypothyroidism, one of the most common symptoms is losing hair on your head, losing half of your eyebrows, even losing hair on your arms and your legs. Okay? So the thyroid function, and your thyroid is right here, plays a huge role in your hair growth. And it's often the first thing that I think about, especially when I meet a woman or a man and they already know that they have a thyroid problem, and maybe it's an autoimmune problem, which is a completely different issue, but whatever is stressing out your body, that's the problem. Okay? So with a thyroid, what do we talk about all the time except that if you only had your TSH checked, which is a brain hormone, you didn't have your thyroid checked fully. Okay, so when you go through this list of things that we're going to talk about as reasons for your hair loss, excuse me, because you have to correct these items that I'm going to go through if you want your hair to start growing again. And it's not going to grow overnight. It's going to take a couple of months to start coming back in once you correct the problem. But let's start with the thyroid. If you've had your thyroid checked and you've only had a TSH, you didn't have your thyroid checked. I can't say that enough. I demonstrate time after time again of lab results and clinical results where the TSH didn't tell us the right information. It didn't tell us the whole story. So it's just a feedback loop that gives us a reflection of how much hormone is there. So when you get your thyroid checked, we need to know if you have enough hormone, okay, if you've got enough of the active hormone, the T3, and then I also want to know if it's being blocked. Is the hormone actually getting into the cells? So I checked my hormones. I've got plenty of hormone, but I've got X, Y, and Z going on in my body that keeps me really irritated and really inflamed, and I don't feel like I have any thyroid hormone because you're not using it. So the TSH can be misleading. You need to make sure that you get your thyroid hormones checked, and you have to be using your thyroid hormones. And that's actually going to lead into some other things when we talk about just being healthy. You have to get your body in a healthy spot. You have to be giving your body nutrition. And so pizza and potato chips and beer that you love is not good nutrition. So if you think you eat a good diet because you eat a salad every day, but you eat all that other crap, you're really not having a good diet. And that makes you really inflamed, which means you'll use less of your thyroid hormone, or that's a potential problem that you're not using your thyroid hormone. Why am I talking about that so much? We're talking about hair loss. Well, think about all of these hair follicles. And guess what? Every single cell in your body needs to have T3. Free T3 needs to get into every cell. The follicles on your scalp are pretty sensitive to changes. They're sensitive to the other things that we're going to talk about, like stress, like your foods, like your hormones, like infection. And I don't know why they're so sensitive, but if you are not managed well and you have thyroid disease, if you have hypothyroidism and you don't know it yet, those are reasons that you're losing your hair. You can stop that. You've got to get your thyroid checked. You've got to get your thyroid treated, and you've got to get those hormones up, and you've got to start using them. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about a topic that we're talking about with hair loss, please chime in. I love it when you ask me questions so that we can actually have a dialogue and I'm not just speaking at you. Okay, so thyroid was number one reason, right? We got to rule that out. It's the most common reason. Second reason, stress, stress, and stress. I can't talk about stress enough, and I'm sorry if you're sick of me talking about stress, but it affects you in every single way. What so, Anna? I don't know if you didn't get to finish your question. You'll have to give me more information on that. So stress, like mental stress, like worrying, like a physical stress, like I was just out at watching my son play lacrosse, and when the sun goes down, even though it got up to 50 degrees today, it's cold out there. And sitting out on cold bleachers and shivering for an hour. In a minute, we will, Anna, when we get to the end. Cold is a stress, right? Being too hot is a stress. Getting run over by a car is a stress. Breaking your leg is a stress. Getting in a car accident is a stress. Going to a job that you hate and you are stressed out to the max every day. If you are feeling every day like, I am so stressed out when I go to work, I am so stressed out when I come home, not only do you want to pull your hair out, all of those stressors change your hormones. We've started talking about this, people. I've given you some examples. I've shown you, and I've got a whole video about stress and cortisol. And cortisol is a steroid, and it drives your blood sugar up, and it makes your body inflamed. And do you think your scalp is sensitive to that? It sure is. So, Mary, we're going to talk about hormones as part of a reason. So, yes. Is perimenopausal a reason specifically? No. Hormone changes are a reason. So anything that is stressing your body, it's going to lead to, when we talk about foods, we talk about infection. Those are stressors on your body. If you are under a lot of stress, if you are having panic attacks, if you are having heart arrhythmias, hi Heather, if you are having any mental health issues, if you are having depression, if you are having whatever it might be, I'm trying to fill in the blank for you to know that this, when I say stress, it covers a wide range of things that are affecting you, and you need to understand that. If you are so stressed out by your job that you go to every day, do you really think you're going to get better? Do you think you're going to get healthy if you keep putting yourself back into the same environment that abuses you because you're so stressed out for 8, 10, or 12 hours a day? We don't have enough supplements or medications or timeouts or vacation, hi Karina, to combat that. So stress is humongous. You have to get your stressors under control. A woman I talked to earlier this week, she already has a plan for the job that she knows that she doesn't really like. It's way too stressful. And come June, she's going to be switching jobs. And you know what? Whew, it was a big relief off of her shoulders. She's relieved. And her stressor can be gone, even though she's still going to her job right now and she's finishing doing what she needs to do. She knows that stressor is going to end, and that's really, really super important. Okay, so what are the reasons that you're losing your hair way too fast and you're starting to see your scalp? The reasons are you've got a thyroid problem, you're too stressed out. Number 3 is your food. So even for you, so we can, you guys are on a scale. I know you're on a scale, not like a weight scale, like a number scale, like a scale of, yep, I eat horrible. I eat at McDonald's. I eat at fast food. I eat crap food, fried food, beer, drink a lot of alcohol, all the time. Okay. If that's you, time to change a little bit, because that is the reason your hair is falling out. You are building every cell in your body out of junk. So think of building a house and building it out of straw or building it out of bricks. Who's the smarter piggy, right? The one who built it with the bricks, because that house is going to last. It was built with quality and it's going to be strong. The one that was made out of rotten lumber, weak materials, which all that junk food, all of that sugar, all of that fried food, you're building your cells out of junk. That's why you are what you eat. So that would be the biggest reason to change your food. But now let's swing over to the other side of that spectrum of I eat horrible and I know it, but I really don't want to lose all my hair. Okay, maybe that's motivation. You got to change your food. Okay? Now, if you're one of those people who are eating really well, I know there's several of you who are listening who needed to change your diet, right? Because it was a stressor for you. It caused you pain. It made you gain weight. It threw off your hormones. It caused you a thyroid problem, whatever that might be. Even when you're eating well, Can you be eating something that's not good for you? You sure can. And that's why I've been putting out all of those videos and all of those posts about getting your foods tested. The foods are so important. What did I tell somebody this week? I think she only had 2 vegetables on her list that she couldn't eat, but it was Brussels sprouts and broccoli or something like that. Actually, I think it was asparagus and Brussels sprouts. Really? She can't have asparagus and Brussels sprouts? Those are like fantastic for you. And they are, except they're not for her. They cause inflammation in her body. They cause a problem in her body. So cleaning up your foods, even when you're eating really well, you know, it doesn't matter if you eat like crap, if you eat okay, if sometimes you're good and sometimes you're not good, if you've gone on this fad diet or on that fad diet. I want you to start to eat for your lifestyle so that you can keep your hair, so that you don't have pain, so that you can play with your grandchildren, so that you can live to be 100 if you choose to, and feel good doing it. So the foods cause a ton of problems. When you've got bad eczema and you change your foods, you start eliminating your food allergies, your skin problem goes away. When you've got headaches every single day and you start to follow your food allergies, your headaches go away. When you have belly pain, that takes you to the emergency department 5 times a month or more. When you start following your food allergies, it's amazing how your GI tract can change. Now, for every person, that's different. The examples that I'm giving you are true examples. And I'm telling you those things, even though we're talking about hair, to give you evidence that foods matter. It matters a lot. I don't care how good or how bad you're eating right now. We all can do better. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to try. And you have to do your best. And you have to be willing to find the things that are causing you the problem. That's one thing that frustrates me. If you're going to complain that all of your hair is falling out, but you're not willing to change your foods, then I guess your hair loss isn't that big of a deal. Okay? You have to take better care of yourself. Better care of your thyroid. Got to get your stress under control. Start eating better and get your foods tested. Okay? Get your foods tested. It's going to help. It's going to make a difference. Your energy is going to change. Your life is going to change. Okay? So think about that. So that was 1, 2, 3 things so far. Okay. Infections are the next thing. I kind of alluded to infection as I'm talking about a stressor, because infection is a big stressor. And so when you have an infection, if it's a tooth infection, if it's a skin infection with yeast, if it's yeast in your scalp, if it's fungal, if it's a ringworm, which is a fungal infection, that can be inside and it can be on your skin. So sometimes people with bad eczema or psoriasis responds really, really well to your food and to working on your immune system. And if you have psoriasis in your scalp as well, that psoriasis isn't allowing your hair to grow. It's blocking all those follicles. So we have to work with your body in general from a health perspective to get those kinds of things under control, and then your hair is going to start to grow. So infections are a huge deal. I think first about yeast infections or that fungal infection, that skin infection that can be affecting your scalp as well. So Candida, that's yeast, right? We know how to fight the yeast beast. I've done a video on that. A lot of you have done Candida cleanses. It's driving out the sugar, driving out the carbs so you can starve that yeast beast, right? But it can also be an infection in your gut. And again, I think about yeast, but it could be a parasite. Not a great big long tapeworm from Africa. These tiny, tiny, tiny microscopic parasites that are really hard to catch in the stool. We look for eggs, we look for shedding, and we look for the actual parasite through stool samples. So you could have a gut infection that's causing your hair to fall out. Heather, sure. An infected root canal. Root canals are a nightmare. And if it's your root canal that's really infected, yes, that can be so stressful on your body. it's going to cause your thyroid a problem. And yeah, it can make your hair fall out. And then whatever antibiotics or antifungals or big dose things that you need, well, guess what? That affects your hair too. Because they're chemicals when we get into the medications, and sometimes you need them. Do not let that infection go. I can't say enough about that. If you think you really do have an infected tooth, an infected root canal, the vasculature, the blood flow in your mouth is so extreme that an infection here goes everywhere. It can go into your heart. It causes a huge amount of stress on your body. Doesn't mean that it will, but it can. So an infected root canal, you need to get that tooth out. And if you've been having hair loss since you had the root canal, or since you thought it was infected, maybe you've had some jaw pain, something like that, I absolutely believe it's connected. Okay? Does it mean it's the only reason? Not necessarily, but it probably was the straw that broke the camel's back, or the thing that pushed you off the edge to really having a problem. Okay, so infections in the gut as well. I think about yeast, I think about parasites, and then there's actually a whole long list of other infections that can be happening. But a skin problem, and I'm going to put the hair follicles right up there, that if you've got a skin problem, you definitely may have a gut problem. Okay, so find out if you have any infections. Get them treated right away. So you started having hives since you've had the infection, or since you started getting treated? Are you getting hives from medication that you're taking, Heather? It's a old one years ago, I think before I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's. Okay, so we've got an autoimmune problem. Yay. So you've got a thyroid problem on top of that, and then now you're getting hives, and now you think you have an infection. You need to go in and get it checked out if you haven't done that already, and get that taken care of. Miranda, I'm going to try to read your comment. What if you lose a lot after you eliminate all of your reactive foods? Okay. I had glanced at that comment when you first wrote it, Miranda, and I didn't understand. So I had to pause and take a moment to really read it to see what are you asking. So Miranda is saying she's had her foods checked. Yay! And then now you've noticed a lot more hair loss since you've cut out those foods. That's what I believe that you're saying. So the first thing, I don't know how long ago you changed your foods, but think of just in more simple terms, because you have to get rid of those reactive foods. They keep your body in a state of feeling so numb, so reactive that you can't even feel when you're eating that junk, right? You don't even know that when you eat that pizza because of all the dairy, or when you eat those eggs because you love to have eggs for breakfast, you don't even know that that's making you feel so sick with either pain or weight gain or hormone problems or mood problems or whatever the complaint originally was, skin problems that you wanted to try to clean up. When we first start, before you first get your food reactive reactions tested, you can't hardly even tell, because you're so numb to everything. And then your body goes through this huge change. So during that process of change, you're getting rid of a lot of bad stuff. And so can it accelerate that phase of shedding your hair? You bet it can. I just don't want you to relate it to, oh my God, I cut out these foods, now I lost my hair, and that's a cause and effect. It's bigger than that. It's your body detoxing. It's your body letting go of all these bad reactions. It's your body getting rid of things that cause it harm, and then it's going to go through a regrowth. So think of it just more simply that your body is changing. And sometimes change is hard, and we start to, get more stomach aches. We get some diarrhea. We get some constipation. Our skin breaks out. And you're like, what? Why is all this happening? Because your body said, thank goodness she stopped putting in all of that horrible stuff, and now I can just get rid of all of this stuff. It's like going through and getting rid of all the bad baggage. So yeah, some increased hair loss, that can happen, but it should stop. You have to make sure that you're getting enough nutrition in so that you can start growing good hair, healthy hair, that you can replenish that hair growth. But no cell is going to work properly, and every follicle is included in that, if you don't have good nutrition, if your digestion isn't working well to get the nutrition out of your food, and if your cells aren't carrying it to, if you're not carrying it to those end organ cells like your hair. So you really got to work on your food and your digestion and getting in good nutrition, not starving yourself. If you're not eating enough, that can be, starvation is a reason that your hair could fall out. Okay. That's a huge stressor on your body, and that'll contribute to it. So think about that as well. And then the next one that we're going to talk about is hormones. The hormones that affect your hair, because we've got some good examples. So Charlotte says, I lost some hair after I had a baby, which is normal, then had a knee surgery and lost hair like a chemo patient. It's been 9 months and it's still bad. I now have a quarter-size bald spot. Charlotte, I'm sorry. So after you had a baby, hormone changes, thyroid insult. The thyroid gets stressed when you're pregnant, and then it gets stressed when you have delivered that baby. You're stressed because now you're not sleeping and you're feeding and you've got a new baby, and all those things definitely contribute to hair loss and hormone changes when you're pregnant and after you deliver that baby. Now, the knee surgery, you got exposed to a lot of chemicals, a lot of drugs to put you out for that surgery, and that's your body saying, I didn't like that. Ooh, that really damaged me. That's part of the reason that you lost a lot of hair, as well as your body just trying to shed it and get rid of it and detox you from all of that. The stress that your body went through for that surgery, all of those things are reasons that you've lost a lot. So think about, Charlotte, all the things we've talked about so far: thyroid, stress, your food allergies, gut infections, and now I want to talk about the hormones as ways, things to double check. Am I doing perfect in these areas? Am I optimal? Do I need to do better so that my hair can start to regrow? Okay? So for the women, when your estrogen drops, you can lose a little bit of hair. So Mary Ryan, back to your question about perimenopause. Yeah, well, perimenopause really is just a phase where, hey, something's changing a little bit. Not making quite as much. Don't have as robust follicles. And not follicles here, follicles in the ovaries to make eggs for babies. We release one of those every single, month. But when we get older, yeah, well, they're not as good, right? They might be a little damaged. They might not produce the same amount of hormones, and our hormones start changing. When your hormones start changing, yes, it can affect your hair. Absolutely. Think about it. For all of you, when you got pregnant, what happened to your hair? Did it stop growing, or did it grow like mad, faster than it's ever grown before? Most women, it grows a lot and grows fast. So my hair was stick straight the majority of my life, and I used to get perms, through high school. Always got a perm to put some curl in it. And then after I had my first baby, I remember getting a haircut. She's like, whoa, look at all this curl back there. I'm like, oh my God, this lady is crazy. I don't have curly hair. I have very, very straight hair. And this hairdresser is telling me, look at all this curl back here. I'm like, you're crazy. Really, I don't have curly hair. She's like, no, you do. She's like, look. And I'm like, wow. And my hair had started to flip. And so This curl here is a curling iron, but the back of my head, I get kind of a nice curl. It's just it doesn't stay here, so I got to make it match, or I got to pull it straight. I've got this kinky hair now. It's not nice curly, and it's not nice straight. It's an in-betweener, and then I have to help it either go straight or go curly. Wow, my hormones changed that. They changed my hair. Isn't that weird? It is, but the point is, my hair changed. And I'll think of a good friend of mine who passed away from Hodgkin's disease. And when she lost her hair and her hair grew back, it was curly, tight, curly. And it was the funniest thing ever because her hair wasn't like that before and we used to laugh about it. But the chemotherapy and the cancer and then growing back changed her body, and it changed her hair. Those are just really good examples of how sensitive your hair follicles are, ladies. So your thyroid, your stress, your food, looking for infections, and then these hormone things that make your hair go crazy. So back to this perimenopause or even then menopause, what happens, women? Our estrogen levels go from being way up here, and they go down here, they go, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go, and progesterone doesn't want to go, or progesterone already went, and your hormones are all over the place until you get to menopause, and then you're Miss Stable Mabel, and your estrogen and progesterone are right here, and they're low, normal, and you feel good, and it's just the right amount because you don't need to be making babies anymore, so this is okay. Low, stable Mabel, estrogen and progesterone, yay! But I'm here to talk about this other culprit called testosterone. And so women, we have a little bit of testosterone. Men, you have a lot of testosterone. And now I'm talking about male pattern baldness, right? Or female pattern baldness, right? Right here on the top of the scalp, or maybe more for the men. They start to lose it right back here. And you women, it starts to thin, and 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 you're like, oh my God, I need to paint that in because I don't want anybody to see that, right? And we need to get it to grow back. But I'm here to tell you a big reason for that for both men and women. So now women, you're stable Mabel, you're in menopause, you don't get a period, and man, this is the best thing ever. Except you're doing good with your testosterone. And then there's this enzyme called 5-alpha reductase that converts testosterone into an even stronger testosterone. Now, through your whole life, you've had good levels, and that's great. Testosterone gives us strength and stamina, sex drive, all those things, the other complaints that you complain of when we get into menopause or perimenopause and we're losing some of those things. Well, you've always had an okay level, a normal level, right? But now your estrogen is really low. So the body sees this DHT, which is dihydrotestosterone, 10 times stronger than testosterone. It's not high, but it's higher than your estrogen. And guess what it does to your hair follicles on your scalp? This strong testosterone that gets converted by an enzyme called 5-alpha reductase. And you're going to see all these words in the article that I'm going to get published probably tomorrow on discoveryhealthlifestyle.com. And I'll show you some examples of those lab results. When you see that, it'll make a little bit more sense. So I know those words can be a little confusing right now, but I'm not talking about just testosterone. I'm talking about dihydrotestosterone, which is 10 times more potent, and it shrinks your hair follicles on your scalp. It's really actually an important hormone because when a woman is pregnant and she's growing a boy, that DHT helps to grow all of his male parts. If there isn't enough DHT, your little boy is going to have a problem. He's not going to grow his male parts. Okay? So we need DHT. But as a woman now heading in perimenopause or menopause, if your estrogen is low, you now look dominant in your DHT, the strong testosterone. And I keep calling it the DHT because it's not just testosterone. Testosterone's not the problem. DHT is the problem for men and women with that male pattern baldness. And an excessive amount of DHT is the culprit behind prostate growth. So when a man gets an enlarged prostate and when a man gets prostate cancer, it's not testosterone that's out of control. It's DHT that's way too dominant. It's 10 times, and there's too much been shunting down this hormone pathway, and it goes higher and it goes higher and it goes higher, and it makes his prostate swell. And his prostate swells. And then those cells are under an enormous amount of stress. You're eating awful. You've got some infections, and it turns into a cancer for a man. Okay, but during that whole time, that high DHT, he's also losing all the hair on his head. Same thing for women. Your estrogen is no longer that dominant hormone. And if your DHT is high, you're losing all of your hair right here. And we need to get it out. We need to start to shift that DHT. We need to move it back into testosterone, and we need to filter it through your estrogen and out of your body. We need to detox it, we need to methylate it, and we need to make sure those processes are going well in your body. So any of you that I've worked with in the past, when we've started to support your body and we've changed your foods and we've gotten you starting to feel better, and then we go through a detox, that detox is what helps us get rid of all of those negative things that your body's trying to get rid of, that we've talked about when I've been answering people's questions, that yeah, your body's trying to get rid of that. Yeah, your body's trying to get rid of it. And through the detox pathway, you break down through your liver. Your liver is so responsible for working on your hormones and for breaking down your estrogens and for methylating them out of your body. And it's going to do the same for this DHT, which we're going to push back into testosterone, and then it's going to push into estrogen, and then we're going to get it out of your body. So there's a way for us to clear it where you've got a bottleneck if you have high DHT. So, but what did I give you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different reasons why you might be losing your hair. So don't everybody run out and get saw palmetto, which is one strong herb that helps to shift DHT back to testosterone. There's more that needs to be done, right? I said DHT needs to go to testosterone, which needs to go to estrogen, which needs to go through your liver and get properly detoxed and methylated out. Saw palmetto doesn't do all of that. There's a process that we need to go through, but saw palmetto is the best herb to start to decrease that DHT. The very first time I put a woman on saw palmetto, she went to the health food store and they thought she was crazy. Because the person behind the counter said, I'm sorry, that's for men with a prostate problem. You don't need saw palmetto. And she's like, but my doctor told me I needed saw palmetto because she had a really, really high DHT and she was a hairdresser and it was killing her that she was losing her hair and losing her hair. She's like, I can't keep being a hairdresser if I don't have any hair on my head. You know, she thought then she wouldn't be credible. But she came back to me and she said, okay, so I went to go get the saw palmetto and then the guy behind the counter told me that I was crazy and that a woman shouldn't be taking saw palmetto. This is a great example of why you cannot listen to the people behind the counter. They are not doctors. Okay? They may know this much about each of the products and what that product is for. And saw palmetto is advertised for large prostates, to help a man with a prostate problem. But why? You got to know the why. The reason is, I already told you, because of the DHT. But this woman had a problem with DHT, and the person behind the counter said, no, it's not for women, it's for men. Crazy. We knew exactly what we were doing. You got to know the why. And so somebody asked, just sound it out, saw, S-A-W, palmetto, P-A-L-M-E-T-T-O. Saw palmetto. Helping you, Joni, helping you. We'll talk soon. So those are the top reasons. I do want to take the opportunity to talk about Monate hair products because I've mentioned them before. I started using them last fall, and it's M-O-N-A-T. In the comments where I wrote about it or above this video is a link to find out more about those hair products. They keep out all of the bad things, okay? If you are having a hair problem, look at the products you are putting in your hair. All of the products, from your shampoo and your conditioner to your mousse to your hairspray to your filler in of where you've been losing hair. All of those products, if they have chemicals in them, if they have parabens in them, if they have plastics in them, if they have anything, glycerin that's going to clog your pores, or, they might make your hair feel soft, but they may be also clogging your pores. You have to get rid of the chemicals. If you start cleaning up your body and you're doing great and your hair starts growing and you go to your hairdresser and you get your hair dyed, it's going to start to fall out again, because you just insulted it. You just hit it with bad chemicals. So you need to be prepared for that. You can't change your food and not change your hair products and expect your hair to start growing again. So one cool thing about the Monate products is that, as I talked about the DHT, they have some herbs in them that help DHT at the scalp. So in their system that helps specifically to grow hair, there is a very gentle, okay, this is not a systemic effect on your hormones, but the hormone effect on the follicles in your scalp, in your hair, when you're shampooing, it helps to decrease the DHT at the hair follicles so that you can start to grow again, because DHT shrinks those hair follicles. It helps them to just shrivel up and die. So we want them growing. We want them robust. We don't want all of those follicles just shedding and shedding and shedding more hair. So we want them to start growing. And those products I want you to check out. Again, it's in the comments of how to get there directly and find out more about those products. But if you're losing hair, this is a great product to use, and you have to clean up all your products. You can't use Monate shampoo and then put in all of your bad mousse and softening and, frizz-free stuff and this stuff and that stuff and that stuff. You can't put a bunch of bad crap in your hair, or your hair will never grow back. Okay, or it'll just keep falling out. So think about that. Thyroid, stress, your food, infection, and DHT, and stop putting chemicals in your scalp, on your skin, anywhere. Okay, everybody, I hope that was helpful. I'm going to write up what we talked about, and I'll get that posted on discoveryhealthlifestyle.com. Please share the videos. I appreciate you being here. I love all the comments and the questions. If I didn't get to your question, I'll look back at them later and I'll type an answer to that. So thanks a lot for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. It's getting late and we all need to wind down. We need to get off the computer and off the blue light and settle down so that we can get a good night's rest. So nice to see you tonight. I'll talk to you again soon.